All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Saturday Night Tech Fight. So, you've come here tonight to see a debate among two of your favorite YouTubers, to watch them battle it out about a topic involving tech. And you've come to see two people who, quite frankly, I don't know how they haven't already fought each other in real life, possibly because one of them lives across the pond and the other one lives in Cleveland. I feel bad for him, but he lives in Cleveland. So I'm going to go ahead and start bringing people in. But before I do that, I'm going to holler at the chat a little bit, see who we got going on in the chat. I see some of the fighters and the judges are in here. Tonight, we're going to talk about smartphone cameras. Now, this is surrounding the hype of the S20 and the S20 Plus and S20 Ultra. There's a lot of hype going on around those cameras, and there's a lot of talk about, are they really necessary? Are they really worth it? Well, we're going to ask some questions about it tonight, and we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to bring in my first judge. Now, the theme of tonight, being smartphone cameras, is that everybody has some type of a relation to this. So my first judge I'm going to bring in is none other than Adrian L. You guys have seen her before, but you might be wondering, what does Adrian have to do with smartphone cameras? Well, Adrian is the selfie queen. So everybody go on ahead and welcome Adrian L., the selfie queen. You see her doing the thing. Look like she...
Hello.
Is that a headboard behind you? Anyway, all right. So let's bring in our next judge of the evening. Y'all have seen her on Wired Wednesday. She is also the other half of the Gadget Chats podcast. Her name is Kimmy, a.k.a. the Gadget Goddess. But if you know anything about her, you know that she is the queen of imports. So welcome, the import camera queen, Miss Gadget Goddess.
Hey, y'all.
Came in like she didn't want to talk to nobody. All right.
Because you crossed my name at first, but you fixed it at the end.
I got you. And now we're bringing in my special guest judge. Now, this gentleman actually has a fight that's supposed to happen between him and another YouTuber you guys are familiar with. He's been a judge before, Mr. Technically T, the tech dude with the do-rag. Yo, anyway, so I'm going to bring my man, Mr. Jay Will, in here. But before you ask, I'm going to tell you how Jay Will is a relation to smartphone cameras. This man tests everything about the smartphone camera when he gets a smartphone. But even though he tests all types of cameras from Samsung to Motorola to LG and BlackBerry, he's still Team Pixel all day and night. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Jay Will.
What's going on, everybody? Here to represent for the old school.
Oh, wow.
We're gonna get this thing going. We're gonna battle it out.
I wasn't ready.
Let's get it.
I wasn't ready for that.
Okay.
All right. Jay over here looking like he in the booth in the 80s, boy. He about to get it in. All right. So we're going to go ahead and bring in our first fighter of the evening. Now, both of these guys have been on the show before. So you've seen both of them before. They're nothing new. But I'm going to bring in my first man because you guys saw him a couple weeks ago in the first Battle Royale. And this gentleman came in, won, beat everybody. I think he intentionally waited until the last question. He might have been nervous he was going to lose earlier, but he came in, he did his thing, and he won. He got the first Battle Royale championship under his belt. He also defeated Scott Peachy of the Technically Speaking live streaming podcast and channel. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lover of Tech, the Idris Elba of Tech.
Yo, what's good?
We can't hear you,
everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yo, what's good, everyone?
You look like your stream is.
Oh, I don't know.
Am I the only one seeing that?
Is my screen bugging out?
It looks like his stream is behind him.
Really?
It looks good now.
Looks all right to me.
Yeah, it looks
Good.
fine to me.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
All right, cool. All right. So now I'm gonna bring in the challenger of the evening. Now, it's a new year, new rules and everything. So we're not gonna go off of his old record, because if we did, then we just not gonna go off his old record. And because technically I think he lost to LB. I think he lost to LB one time. I wouldn't want to live with that. So new record this year. So let's
got beat by a dead man.
Yeah, like I said, folks, it's a new record. But this guy, you've seen him on YouTube, you've seen him on Twitter. He's a lot more tame on Twitter now than he used to be. Back in the day, he used to really just go off for no reason. And he used to really be like that on this channel as well. But he's been a little bit more tame lately. He's been a little bit calmer. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not even going to introduce him as Mr. Tech Rant, even though that's his name. That's what his mama named him, so that's what I'm going to call him. I'm going to bring him in as Trenton So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Trenton Marshall, aka Mr. Tech Rant, with the granddaddy glasses on. Go on to tilt them down like this one time, Trent. Go to
This is related to the GIF, man. Like, come on, GIF. The one I posted on your Twitter.
I saw it. All right. So, y'all know how this goes, but for those of you that don't know how this goes, I'm going to introduce the rules to you guys. So, both of these guys are going to get 2.5 minutes apiece for each round. They're going to be able to talk and argue their side of the question that I post. One will choose yes, one will choose no. Once they are done, they will get 5 minutes total to go back and forth at each other. So it all will depend on who talks loudest. I'm not going to tell nobody to talk louder. I'm not going to tell nobody to talk quieter. Y'all just got to do what y'all do. I will say, keep it friendly, keep it clean, but go for the gut. And yeah, we're going to make this happen. At the end of the fight, we will have a tally of who wins each round. The judges will not give their reason for picking the fighter in the round until the end of the match. So judges, if you want to keep track of, why you picked the person, that's up to y'all. Or if you just want to say yes and no and keep on moving, that's fine. But at the end of the match, I will have each judge, if they want to, discuss why they chose the person that they chose. 1 point per person, which means that there will always be a winner of each round. In the event that there is a knockout in a round, I have a knockout question that'll be given to the person who is knocked down. It's the equivalent of a 10-second rule. This person will have 1.5 minutes, 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer this question. If their answer is good enough and the judges bring them back in, they will be awarded 1 point for being able to get up from a knockdown. However, if you are knocked down 3 times, you are out. So, gentlemen, judges, does anybody have any questions before we get started? All right. With that said, let's go ahead and get into our first question of the night.
Cool.
Is a smartphone camera enough for an amateur photographer? Anybody need any context behind that question? Or are you guys good with that?
Say I'm good with it.
Ben?
Good.
Okay. Let me go ahead and get your 2.5 minutes on the clock here. And Ben, since you won the last tech fight, you will get
actually, I would say let's do a coin toss to make it even more. So,
okay.
if you can do a coin
You
toss,
gonna just come on here and start changing rules?
Right.
coin toss.
Here we go.
Yes, let's coin toss. So if we've got a coin, someone toss it.
Ain't nobody
I'll
got
go
time
ahead.
for that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Look.
Don King, man, you better run it.
No. You go first. Yes or no?
Oh, cool. Yes. Then.
All right. Your time will start now.
It's enough because if it's amateur, you're not necessarily making any funds or income for it per se. Amateur is basically based on the fact that you're doing it for a hobby. You're doing it for immediate reaction or immediate results. And immediate results pretty much refers to what smartphones really were meant to do, which was directly or indirectly replace point and shoot cameras. Point and shoot cameras were there to capture memories quickly in the best quality possible, where you could store them, or back in the day, pretty much where print was actually the main way to view it, to be able to print, right? You didn't need to worry about, hey, do I need to interchange it to have this focal length or not? A point and shoot camera pretty much had a zoom for as many focal lengths in there as possible. That's why smartphone cameras have different focal lengths in there, whether it's your ultra wide angle, 123 degrees, 120 degrees, 117 degrees, standard view, or ×2 or ×3 optical zoom or lossless zoom, as is stated, because it's not continuous throughout all the focal range. The whole idea is to have it like what a point and shoot camera was meant to do. An amateur really isn't there to make money off what they're shooting. They're there to be able to capture the highest quality photos or videos immediately to be able to store and relive those memories that they catch up. So smartphones are way ahead of that. From the level of stabilization that you have in, for example, iPhone 11 Pro, where you can shoot 4K UHD 60 frames a second on all the camera angles, right, with excellent stability, that's more than enough. That's more than most point and shoot cameras would be doing. And you have the benefit of the fact that it's built into your phone. You've got the convenience of it being built into your phone, being connected to the internet, being able to upload it to social media, being able to get that instant reaction of what you want from your pictures, whether it's taking it with portrait mode, taking it with different filters, it's more than enough. It gives you that immediate quality at its highest point with the best results without having to worry about too much of having to change things to get the right results. Doesn't mean you don't have flexibility. You do. You see pro cameras, you see these smartphone cameras have things like pro mode and manual mode to get the most out of it, but ultimately that's pretty much the way to go. Amateur is more than enough for a smartphone.
All right. Stop that.
Beat the
Okay.
buzzer.
So, Trent, are you ready, Trent? You good?
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't know, man. Trent, you good? You sure you good? You good?
Oh,
Give me a minute.
I'm laughing at the sounds and what's about to come out my mouth.
All right.
Just so you know, I didn't play that sound.
Yeah, that was my actual alarm. So sorry about that. I forgot that Adrian's in charge of sound effects. I cut it off. Anyway, Trent, are you ready?
Ready?
2.5 minutes. Go.
A smartphone camera is not enough for an amateur photographer. And the reason being is that we have seen plenty of amateur people take some very horrible shots, even with a smartphone camera. Another thing that I would like to introduce is you need to have at least some knowledge of how to take photos and align photos up. If you just take a camera out and you just hit the shutter button, a lot of photos are going to look terrible. There's stuff that you got to set up. It's stuff that you got to think about. So if you literally just go out and let's say you'll get the Samsung Galaxy Ultra, since that's a hot one, you got to worry about software updates and issues. It's not going to be as easy as, oh, well, this is just going to magically do everything for me. Stuff comes into play with that. I would say, you know, at least if you have a DSLR camera, even though you're using it in auto, you take out a lot of the guesswork. You take out you trying to take a picture and a phone call comes in and messes it up. So at that point, yes, I can't believe I'm saying this shit, but no, you don't need it, and it's not enough.
Okay. So if that's all you're leaving on the board, that's going to leave us with 5 minutes to go back and forth with you guys. So I'll get that timer started right now.
The first thing I definitely want to say is that if you look at phones like the Samsung Galaxy S10 and S20, they help you to take the guesswork out, right? If you look at, you know, features like best shot, or even coming back to an example, AI, right? If you look at a phone like the OnePlus 7T and 7T Pro, there's times where I'm in a situation where I'm taking a picture and a notification will pop up and say, hey, why not try the ultra wide angle lens? Very subtle, very, very less intrusive. And it gives you that flexibility to still have the power of having different focal lengths, but not having the guesswork. So it actually aids you and teaches you how to actually compose your shots, right? Whether it's rule of thirds, where there will be a notification that will come up and say, actually frame it up to here, because this is where you'll get the better shot. Smartphones now are becoming so much smarter, so much quicker, so much more convenient in the ability to actually teach you how to get the best shots, teach you how to actually be able to get shots after, right? There's the Smart Scene Optimizer where if your shot is blurry, before you even look in the viewfinder, it will tell you that, look, that shot was blurry. Go back, take another one. It's actually aiding you through. So it may feel like training wheels, but actually from an amateur point of view, the smartphone is actually smart enough now, and it's learning continuously over and over how to see your habits of how you take shots, so you can actually be better at it. Where next time,
let me stop
boom,
you right there.
right shot.
Stop you right there. We got amateur photographer. Okay, if anything, the camera is a crutch. Okay, it is taking away from your growth because you are becoming self-reliant on the camera to do everything for you. Regardless of whether you make money or not, there are people out there that love photography and want to take good shots, want to do shots their own way. They don't have to necessarily make money from that, and they want the freedom to choose and manipulate the image as they want. If you have Google and their AI come in,
you can do that.
Basically,
you can do that in Pro mode. You can do that in Pro mode.
Google is telling you, like, no, we are going to tell you how we want you to take a photo. Samsung is going to tell you this is how we wanted you to take a photo. Apple is going to say this is how we want you to take a photo. Like that is pretty much what you're getting stuck with.
But the thing is, you don't have to get stuck with that. I just swiped into my phone, went into pro mode, and I've got all the same parameters that I would do, pretty much close to a mirrorless or digital single lens reflex camera, DSLR. It's no different. What it's doing is it enough? When we say it's enough for an amateur scene photographer, right? Does it help you through the progression of how to learn to be a better photographer? Yes, it does. It starts from the training wheel section where it's literally point and shoot. You've got the AI built into the ISP of the processor and these smartphones internally that will tell you, hey, this is the best time to use the ultra wide. Hey, this is the best time to use this particular mode. Zoom in, or this shot's blurry, take it again. As you start getting familiar, because human beings, we adapt, we evolve, we get better, we learn as we go, right? Every single day. In every single shot and situation that you take, whether it's knowing when to activate night mode or night shot, right? When you want more control, it doesn't stop you, especially if you're on an Android platform. Again, like I showed you, it's as simple as swiping up, go into pro mode, and then I can either shoot in RAW where I get all the exposure dynamic range, and I could put into Lightroom in mobile and edit it and get the best images, or change every single parameter. We're talking about shutter speed, ISO, right? So it is enough.
Who wants to confine themselves to Android when you got plenty of people who are iPhone users?
Well, then if you're an iPhone user, you got Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro gives you that level of flexibility where if you wanted to add through there, right, you're able to shoot with variable frame rates. You're able to shoot, for example, video.
But Filmic Pro is video. We're talking about photography.
Okay, if we even go back,
videography.
Even if we go back to photography, right? There's apps in there that allow you to still capture raw photos to still give you that level of flexibility. Once you're able to crack how the normal viewfinder works, and even then, think about the fact that you're able to progress from not just the ease of use of being able to click it with a press of a button, whether it's ultra wide, standard, or zoom, but knowing that the power of the iOS platform, right, you're able to get apps that can draw the extra features that you need. If it's not Filmic Pro with videography, for example, for photography, you can still shoot in RAW. And think about the extra level of flexibility that you get when you're in Lightroom, or again, Lightroom mobile.
Oh, man.
Whew, heated.
All right. Well, that was a lot. So we're going to start with Kimmy because you look the most puzzled.
I'm not puzzled at all.
Okay, Kimmy, who you got then?
I got Ben.
Okay. Adrian, who you got?
Ben.
Well, Jay Will, who you got?
Finish him. Now, I took a lot of. If you saw me, I muted my mic because I was clicking. I was taking a lot of notes. I wanted to be efficient this time around. Instead of just saying yes or no, I want to use my notes, okay? Because I did a lot of typing over here. So this is a lot, but I'm gonna break it down as best I can.
Remember, you gotta save it.
No, you ain't supposed to say why. You just gotta say. You gotta say who it is. That's it.
Ben.
Because I took notes too. I took them in my phone.
Well, he got a knockdown in the first round. Good God Almighty. Trent, you know, like I'm not supposed to coach nobody. I'm not supposed to say that. I'll be quiet. So, Trent, you got knocked down. So that means you got a minute and a half to try to come back. So, your knockout question will be disappearing cameras, pop-up cameras, or flip-out cameras. Gimmick or no? What's your stance?
My stance is they are not a gimmick.
Okay. You got a minute and a half. Good sir. Go.
So the reason why they're not a gimmick is because they actually provide some benefit. For a lot of people out there, they hate the notch. All they talk about is notch and hole punches, and everybody wants to get triggered about some little teardrop or whatever being on their phone. With a pop-out camera, now you have the ability to have that full screen, all screen, no notch, bezel-less display that everybody swears that they want. So it pretty much is the benefit. Also with the pop-out camera, it's a little bit of a flex. I'll admit, when I first saw the pop-up camera, I was like, I don't know. And then I saw somebody use it in person. I was just like, wow, that's cool. That's pretty nice. Also, with the pop-out camera, it brings a new feature to the phone that everybody says that phones are so boring about and nobody's doing anything different. At least with the pop-up camera, it was an attempt to try something different, and it gives you the utility of not having that notch.
All right, so that's it. You good?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll go in the same order. Jay, did he come back in?
Nope.
Well,
Bruh.
Gigi, did he come back in? You need two to come back. Gigi, did he come back in?
Denied.
You got the sound effects going. Where are you coming from? That's tight, man. That's butter right there.
No, I give him to come back. He came back in.
All right, Adrian, did he come back?
Damn. I'm sorry.
I'll allow.
You see, I'm on my best behavior tonight, so it's not me tonight. For once, yeah, I'm on my best behavior, so I'm not getting hotted up tonight. I swear
The
down.
sound effects is crazy right now.
Yeah.
Listen,
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh man. All right, so Adrian, was that a yes to Trent or a no?
I'll allow it.
Okay. All right, Trent, you came back in by the skin of your teeth, brother. You came back in by the skin of
Look,
your
I already knew where Jay was going to go with that. I ain't got
Nope.
ain't no answer in the world good enough for him and pop-up camera.
No, it's not like that. Son. I mean, you got back into a corner. You know what I'm saying? You was like Wilder right there. Tyson Fury put some hands on you in the first round. So there's nothing you could do about that. He came out in the first round and put them things on you. So there was no coming back as far as I see it. I took like 2 pages of notes, and hey, it is what it is.
All right. So that's our first question.
I'm
So
on
I
my
guess-
best behavior tonight. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Y'all know if he got to keep saying it, that means he normally
Right.
not. So, all right. So we're gonna go to the next question here. So, Ben, since you won the round, that means you get to continue.
Cool.
But let's see. This question here should be a little interesting. So, next question we got is: have we reached peak camera in smartphones? So, Ben, do you think we have or we haven't?
We have not.
Okay. Well, your time starts now.
So sensor size is everything, and we're getting very, very much closer to the point where these sensor sizes are getting to the size of camcorders. So if you know how sensor sizes go, you've got 1/2.55 inch sensors, very commonly used since the S7 Edge days. LG were using even smaller sensors, 1/3.1 inches. Then you obviously had the 1/1.76. That's what you're finding in the S20 series. And now you've got the biggest ones that's in the S20 Ultra, which is obviously the 1/1.33. It's really going to start making sense when we throw it back to a time where we had it with the Lumia 1020. So I don't know if you guys remember the 42 megapixel giant. I'm looking for a point where you take away different focal lengths of the camera, right? Stick a big 1-inch sensor in there, very, very admirable to what you have in the RX 100 series from Sony, and literally just have a much faster image readout, right? Where it's much bigger, much quality pixels, even up to 12 or even 16. I still think 16 is where the sweet spot would be for 1-inch sensor, right? And just focus on all the abilities that's coming with image processing. Google are very good at image processing when it comes to from cloud computing all the way down to the visual core, all the way down to the system on a chip that they're using. The 5nm manufacturing process and other things coming are going to aid with the efficiency and the speed of being able to do that. So I don't think peak smartphone when it comes to camera hardware has been achieved. And if anything that we've learned, smartphone cameras have to compensate so much on the processing side that in fact they're actually on par or ahead when it comes to the competition, when it comes to actual compact mirrorless cameras. So I don't think in terms of the raw capabilities on a hardware level, we've reached peak. I think there's more that can be done. I just think parts of it are all down to how do we communicate this on a marketing level to make it more appealing to the end consumer? Whereas right now, when it comes to megapixel counts and how many cameras, it's easier to market it to end consumers to make it seem like it's relevant. When actually, if you knuckle it down to what can actually be physically be put into these devices, we haven't reached there yet.
All right, Trent, you know your side of the argument. Is you ready?
Yep.
Is you ready? Go!
All right. We have absolutely reached peak cameras and smartphones. We have reached it. The first example would be is every single day we are seeing pictures from older phones compared to the new phones, the new smartphone camera technology, and people cannot tell the difference. There are even videos where professional photographers cannot tell the difference. All this stuff that they're throwing in here is just overblown numbers, overblown adage to add to the sales or whatnot. Even when people are doing their camera comparisons between this year's phone and last year's phone, they are neck and neck. They are dead straight down the line. Can't nobody tell with 100% accuracy the difference. And to me, that is the peak. When there is so little of a diminishing return to where you don't know or you can't tell straight off rip, that's it. We have reached the peak. Everything else is just adding a lens or doing some other marketing ploy to get you to buy something instead of buying last year's model. It is pretty much just the same thing over and over and over again. And we have reached the peak. Absolutely reached the peak. Can't do it. Can't, no.
Okay. So yeah, y'all got 5 minutes. So go.
Yeah. So for me, it's really about peak when we're talking about what are they capable of. If you take away what they have to do in terms of selling marketing, right? Effectively, let's be honest, the S20 Ultra is really a 12 megapixel camera, but they've marketed it as 108 megapixels. And if you're just doing standard division based on the the pixel bin and tech that they're using, they're still scaling it down to 12 megapixels. Why not forget all of that processing? Why not actually put a sensor size that actually shoots 12 megapixels, has that massive pixel size of 2.4 microns, right? And gives you a much cleaner image. What that does is it saves the processing time of having to combine, right? And it speeds things up. Now, the reason why they haven't done that is actually more expensive to do it that way. So it's just a cost balance stuff, right? But we're seeing all these issues when it comes to things like slow autofocusing that you're getting on pictures and videos, right? What people are not accounting for is as fast as the ISP, the image signal processor, is in the Snapdragon 865, it's having to do a lot of processing, scaling 9 million pixels all the way down into 12 million pixel.
But that's an example. That's an example of them reaching the peak. They are trying so hard to try so many different things to have something, anything, a poor, desperate Hail Mary of an attempt to try and have anything that's different from what's already out. We are literally at the peak. We are at the peak. Okay. You got phones from 2, 3, 4 years ago competing with phones of today. And they on par, they on the same level. So how can you say there's a difference? How can you say that we're not at that peak?
I wouldn't say they're competing. Where I would say is this: if
user disconnected from your channel.
Quantity of lenses or quantity of camera sensors, and actually are brave enough to say it isn't about the amount of lenses. What we want to do is we want to put a quality camera system that is singular and flexible that will truly give you that experience that is likened to your point and shoot, to your APS-C camera, to your Micro Four Thirds cameras. If they take away the marketing, trust me, there is so much more that can be done in these passively cool smartphones when it comes to image quality and processing quality as well as still being able to do the software trickery, right? So my point is, if we separate the two, separate marketing, right, and actually put it in a place where They do what Nokia were doing back in the day with the 1020, where they said, no, forget this, forget quantity. We're going for brute force quality. But unfortunately, that phone was way ahead of its time because it didn't have the processing to deal with that sensor size, to deal with
we
that
are
many
at
pixels.
peak smartphones. We
Far
are
from.
at peak camera and smartphones because we got Samsung throwing out gimmicks like 100 times zoom.
They got to do that because they only did that to shut Huawei up. It was just based on marketing. Huawei did times 50 zoom on a P30 Pro with the Parascopic tech, right? Folded internally to do it. And they said, right, let's beat Huawei while they're down, right? They've been smoking us when it comes to camera tech. Let's beat them while they're down. And let's just double up on what they did just to say, hey, we did it too. You see, and that's my point. If we take away the marketing side of things and actually worry about what can we do to actually bring top level smartphone
But
photography
if you
on
don't
the
have
hardware level for software,
marketing, nobody knows about your phone. Okay?
But you can.
Nobody
You
knows
can.
about it.
But the thing is, this is where
even then with the marketing, right? With the marketing, even if you sell that phone, even if you come up with some magical way, we have reached peak. No one can tell the difference.
disagree.
I can
Disagree.
I can go take a 5-year-old phone right now and take a picture with what I know and compare that to the phone that's out there today, and you will not know the difference unless you see the file.
Let's go back to 5 years. 5 years is what? 5 years is 2014. No, 2015.
Okay,
2015 would have been what? iPhone 6S. iPhone 6S was 12 megapixels. It shot 4K. Very similar, but if you're actually looking at it based on the sensor size alone, right? Visually, when you look at both these phones, even just in terms of like what's there from 5 years ago to now, just the color difference alone. Even if people can't perceive resolution, people can see color difference.
All right. We're gonna go with the lady with the buzzer first.
I will go with Trent on this round.
Okay. Mr. J, who you got?
Ben.
Okay. Gigi, who you got?
Look at her face. She's like, oh my gosh.
We waiting.
Oh,
Said Trent. Did she say anybody's name?
She about to phone a friend.
Oh Lord. JJ.
I muted myself. I'm sorry. I had already said my answer. I had muted myself. Every round I mute myself. I'm sorry. Ben.
Trent, you got the you got you against the ropes, big dog, man. Good Lord. While we got a little quick break, shout out to Derek F for the $2 super chat and to Tanner So Lit earlier for the super chat. Thank you, sir.
thank you for the super chat.
Lord.
Yo, when they said they were prepared for sound effects tonight, yeah, it was actually no joke.
All right. Dwayne said, does Jay got beef with you, Trent?
Hey, let me say something, B. Look, Trent is my man, 100 grand. But I can't be partial because that's the homie. I can't. You gotta just keep it 100. He getting backed in the corner like Tyson Fury did. Wild, I'm telling
Man.
you, he getting upper hand on you because his argument is. That's all it is.
All right.
Sound effects though, you killing me, B. That's crazy.
Well, Ben, since you've taken two
You might
rounds,
go technically tee up out of here, man. Go take a time out, son. You running. Nothing right now.
it's Lord.
Drive by super chat.
Yeah, look. T with the $25 super chat. Thank you, good sir.
Woo! Big
You know,
T.
Get him, Jay Will. Get him.
You know,
Yeah,
Apple
he owe me $26, so he better.
Is that excluding or including taxes?
all right, so Ben,
Excluding taxes. We've
you
got to
won
make sure just for T.
since you've won 2 rounds in a row, that means we are going to go with the handicap start. So Trent, that means you get to start the next round. So your question, gentlemen, is the selfie camera still relevant? Is the selfie camera still relevant? Now, y'all know who the judges are. Trent, you got 2.5 minutes on the clock. What side you gonna choose, brother?
I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna choose. Yes, selfie cams are still relevant.
Thank you, Trent.
All right.
He's gonna be
And
around.
your time starts now.
So selfie cameras are still relevant is because it's the number one thing that people use in their daily lives, especially when we have stuff like AR and we have stuff like Instagram and people want to use stickers and filters and pretty much go all throughout social media. It's the number one way to really take a picture of yourself with a celebrity or with family or friends and not really mess up the shot because you can see yourself. If you try and do that with a rear camera, you're probably going to miss. The other reason why the selfie camera is most important is because as we have seen on these streams, we've had LeBaron Burton come on with the OnePlus phone. It was a pop-up camera, had a really good crispy image, and then for some reason he went back to Samsung and went and looked all pixelated. The other reason the selfie camera is important because you have things like FaceTime, you have things like Messenger from Facebook where people do video calls and they want to see each other. And as the selfie cameras, get a little bit better over time, then people can actually really see stuff. You can actually catch people in the act of doing stuff. You can pretty much just do whatever you need to do as far as recording stuff, as far as the selfie cam. So yes, it is 100% still relevant and it will continue to be relevant.
Okay. Ben, you know your side of the argument, brother.
Cool.
It is your turn. Go now.
So from a technical standpoint, it's not relevant because they're not doing enough to match the quality of what the main camera sensors are doing. So I'm going to take it back a little bit. So people know, high tech company known as HTC. HTC was the only manufacturer that I remember that was actually genuinely taking the selfie camera so much more relevant to the point where they're the only manufacturer that I know that actually added an OIS module to the selfie camera. And they had this series called the HTC Desire I, where effectively they were using the same selfie module as the main camera sensor at the back, where the quality that you were getting and the stability that you were getting was near enough equivalent to that. Unfortunately, a company like HTC isn't really who they used to be, right? So did the selfie game die with it. It died with it with the pursuit of all screen. No one asks for all screen, right? All screen is just introduced two big problems: false touches, curved displays, fragile displays, and not enough physical space to actually physically put camera sensors that are big enough to really give you the clarity and also the space for things like stable video, stable photos. Stability with OIS also not just helps in video, but where does it help? It helps with slow shutter speeds in nighttime for a more stable shot for better low light, which is something that's a big plus, right? Not having a flashlight in your selfie camera when you're having to use the display doesn't give an even tonality when it comes to actually better low light photography for the selfie, right? 2, physically, the sensor sizes are so small to the point where now Samsung, because of the pursuit of a smaller hole punch, actually put a less wider field of view selfie. And how are you going to be able to use a less wider view field of view selfie to be able to capture the group shots that you need to of the people? You've now taken away the relevance and the power of the selfie camera in the pursuit of aesthetics because you're trying to go true edge to edge with this Infinity O display. So it's not relevant enough because manufacturers are actually not putting the same level of R&D into the camera tech that they can put for selfies to give the same level of quality that the main camera does. HTC was the last person to do it. You lot are wrong for these sound effects here. You're wrong. All kinds of wrong. How about that?
Hey, it's better than the Family Feud joint. I'm sorry.
You lot are all kinds of wrong.
He caught me off guard with that one. I was like, "What in the world?" Said, "Shut up." Oh man.
I'm
LB's in
ready.
the chat. LB's in the chat.
Wow.
You know, I was muted. My bad. I'm over here laughing. I didn't even know I was still muted. Y'all got 5 minutes. It just oh man, LeBaron Burton from the dead with the $50 super chat. I'm here to watch that sucker get taken down. Yeah, man. Trent, they ain't for you, Trent. They ain't for you, Trent. You got 5 minutes. Let's get started now.
Ben, I appreciate your effort at trying to come back at that question and whatnot, but you're wrong, man. Totally wrong with that. Totally wrong. So riddle me this, Benjamin. Okay, how in the world are you going to FaceTime or even do any sort of video chat with somebody with your phone backwards? You just gonna be looking at the back of the camera the whole time? You're not gonna look at the other person?
No, so that's not what I said. The question is the selfie camera still relevant?
Yes.
What I said is, as relevant as it is, smartphone manufacturers, bar HTC, RIP their soul, right? Because they're not putting the same energy into giving the quality that they could do, and they're able to, right? As the main sensor at the back, it's not actually given the same relevance as it should, right? The main camera at the look at every keynote that every manufacturer does. The selfie camera gets skimmed over. It gets a bit of light, but it doesn't get anywhere near the amount of love that the main camera does.
Apple pretty much came out with guns blazing with a selfie camera.
Doesn't get nowhere near as much love because they know that the pursuit of what now, when it comes to all screen, means less space. Less space means smaller cameras. Smaller cameras means less aperture. Less aperture means less natural light. What's going to happen? There's a lot of compensation when it comes to processing. Processing means more beautification, more skin smoothing, and we know what the problem is that, right? Less natural light, less sharpness, smaller sensors, yeah.
But
decreases.
But here's
quality.
Here's my question. If something's not relevant, then it wouldn't be in the phone. Right now, removable batteries are not relevant. They're not in the phones anymore. They are taking stuff out of phones that are not relevant. They are taking headphone jacks out because they're not relevant.
Doesn't stop it from being relevant, because at the end of the day, the headphone jack, the 3.5mm port, is still readily available, open standard, and it hasn't been replaced. Just like how the progression of USB gets replaced, the headphone jack hasn't been replaced, it's been removed. Just because something gets removed or something is there doesn't mean it's relevant, right? So let's debunk that very quickly. I'm more talking about whether something is there or not. And this is why Apple, for example, gets done for their webcam on their MacBook Pros, because it's relevant, but at the end of the day, if the quality is so bad, you don't use it. You get critiqued and criticized for it that actually, yes, it's there, but because the quality is so poor, why am I going to tap into that feature? Fine.
It's relevant because you got people making YouTube channels and they are shooting from their front-facing cameras. Okay,
at the detriment of poor autofocus, poor lighting, noisy and grainy footage, right?
But at the advantage of you being able to see yourself and being able to line up your shot instead of running around to the other side of the camera and having to do this guesswork. I know because I used to film on an iPhone and I used to use the rear camera like, oh, I'm gonna use all these megapixels in this sensor. I would
advise you, Trent, I would advise you that if you've got an iPhone with an ultra wide angle camera that has a bigger and higher quality sensor, shoot with that. You're not going to miss the framing. When you go into post, you crop and reframe to make sure that it's looking good. And that's actually the quality solved right there. The iPhone has unlimited recording. You're using a bigger sensor. You're using a wider field of view. You've got more flexibility. And you've got a higher
that's
image
more
quality as
work.
well.
Who wants
All
to
for the
do
sake of
more
seeing
work? I
yourself,
can just take out the phone,
seeing
line it
yourself
up,
there.
look at myself with the selfie camera. Oh, okay, I'm good. Hit record. I don't have to go back into post and change some extra stuff. I
Seeing
can just get
yourself.
the shot once.
But think about it, seeing yourself, but in the end, the end result is poor quality. How is that still relevant? That's the biggest problem I have. That to what sacrifice are you going to have to the image quality and the final end product for the sake of having to see yourself? Why not hold the smartphone manufacturers more accountable to say that if the product or this feature is relevant, put the same energy that you put into the rear cameras, into the front facing camera, forget all screen, give me a bigger sensor, give me OIS, give me more megapixels, give me the fast dual pixel autofocus that you've got there. Give me the same thing.
Pro with the pop-up camera.
All right.
This is peak.
That was an intense one there. Gigi, you unmuted your mic first. Who you got?
Trent.
Mr. J. Will, who you got?
Trent.
Okay. Adrian, who you got?
Trent. Trent.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got another knockdown, so that means it's time for a knockout question. Brother Ben, you got a minute and a half.
Cool.
To answer this question here.
Cool.
Your question is a smartphone camera truly flagship level without Pro Mode? Okay.
No.
All right. Your time will start now.
When these smartphones are costing the same amount of money, whether it's your Ultra, your Pro, as a mid-level or flagship mirrorless camera, i.e., I'll use a case in point, an example, A6600 costs actually less money than an S20 Ultra. And if you're going to come with the same energy as it's an Ultra phone where you can do these beast times 100 zoom, it's got a massive 108 megapixel camera, it's got a big sensor size. When you're in that territory where it's costing 1,500, where I can buy an A6600 and buy a prime lens that gives me a truly fast aperture, best believe that if you don't have a manual mode or pro mode that allows me to be able to change every single flexible parameter that is known, from shutter speed, aperture, ISO level, exposure compensation, what format I shoot in, whether it's RAW, JPEG. If I'm not able to do that and I don't have that flexibility to learn or match what I'm actually able to shoot, it's not pro. At that price point, and the price speaks volume, it's not pro if you don't have a manual mode, especially a manual mode that allows you to change the parameters that you need for video and photo. It cannot be called a pro device. And by then, it's just a marketing gimmick, and you're just doing wrong by the engines doing that.
All right. Adrian, did he bring himself back?
To be nice, I'll say yes.
Gigi, did he bring himself back?
Yeah.
Mr. J, did he bring himself back?
In the words of Tanner Does Tech, oh, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So that takes us into the next round. Trent, you're riding on a wave right now, man. Y'all done came back and made this a fight, boy.
Oh, come on. Why did it have to go down to the wire? It had to be.
I ain't gonna say what the score is, but y'all done came back and made this a fight, boy. So the next question we have going into the fourth round: do multiple cameras define a flagship? Trent, what side of the argument will you choose?
I will say no.
Interesting. I see one of the judges might like you already. Let's go ahead and go, Trent. You got 2.5 minutes. Start now.
Ultimately, what defines a flagship is everything inside the phone, not just the cameras. It's the overall package. It's whether you like the phone, how you can use the phone. Is it something that's going to break down after a year, after 2 years? The software that's installed, is it iOS? Is it Android? You could have an amazing camera on an Android device, but some people don't want to use Android and they need iOS. So that is probably going to define the phone more than just the cameras. Right now, cameras are just a popular thing because really it's the only thing that tech YouTubers can really talk about that will actually keep people somewhat entertained, because not all of us are nerds. Not all of us are going to sit there and hit on the points about processing and RAM and whether or not you can use this feature or that feature. They are going for the features that are the most clickable features that people are going to gain their watch times on. Same thing with these news articles. Like pretty much all of it is just dedicated to just one part of the phone, and they just unfairly judge phones. There are plenty of good phones out there that you don't even have to bring the camera into consideration, because guess what? It's a phone first and a camera second. It is a phone first and a media device second. What do? You make calls on it. If this were tablets or anything other else where you don't have any other primary reason besides that to even use it, sure, but multiple cameras do not define a flagship. Even the Pixel has one camera and they're still kicking ass. Even the iPhone XR had a single camera and it sold the most for that entire year. People threw the whole multiple camera thing out the window. You could have went out and got a 10S or a 10S Max, but no, they went and got something that was more affordable and had one camera. And so that's why, no, multiple cameras do not define a phone.
All right. Well, Ben, you know your side of the argument, brother. Are you ready?
Ready?
Go.
It does. So if we think logically, right, core quality should be the priority. Great battery life should be the next one. Storage and performance should be the next one. Great display, because again, the display is the portal of interaction to your smartphone flagship. Without the screen, you can't even open your favorite feature, which is the camera last, right? But indirectly, because human beings are not logical and normal people that actually come in and buy the phone, guess what the first thing they ask about? The camera. I indirectly work in sales, and I've been working in sales from 2012 all the way to now, where I was working directly, but now I'm indirect in sales and helping in commercials as well as training. And there is one resounding question that always comes. Which phone is it? I want it because it's a good camera. We'll use case in point the iPhone. Which one's the iPhone 11? Yes, this one has 2 cameras. Which one is the one with 3 cameras? The Pro. I want the Pro because it has 3 cameras and it's the best. And you hear it every single time. You try and educate the customer and say, look, there's no difference. And I say, no, I want the Pro because I know that the 3 cameras in there is what makes it Pro. How many other cameras that they've put in there and how it's been marketed, it will give me the best chance to have the best ability to capture the best memories. Remember, human beings, logical, not so much, emotional, very much, right? You're thinking with your heart and you're thinking what's going to give me the best experiences to be able to capture. And if I have the 3 cameras in my mind, I may never use it necessarily, but I like the comfort of knowing that I can tap into that feature when I want. And I know that I can get those features and have the best. That's what makes me realize that actually I'm spending more money for that reason. Logical versus emotional. These are the 2 ways that people buy. And most people buy based on an emotional feeling and attachment, knowing that indirectly, because the smartphone is the most popular feature, it now indirectly becomes the most important feature. And they understand that multiple cameras enables their most popular feature to become the most important feature, to give them the most flexibility to tap into all 3 when they need to.
All right. So y'all got 5 minutes. Go.
The cameras, the multiple cameras define a flagship. Once again, I'll say no. Okay. The main thing that is important to people are other features. We sit here like people came out and dragged the OnePlus, which had it was the flagship of their company or whatever, right? They dragged it because it didn't have wireless charging. They were talking about wireless charging more than they were talking about the cameras. Like, come on, really? cameras. Go ahead.
We're gonna have to come back because the cameras on the OnePlus, they get a hard time every single time. They are the Achilles heel that never gets overlooked and gets hammered, right? I'm gonna use case in point our guy Technically T. Technically T got the 7 Pro and openly said, I do not see anyone that can call this smartphone of the year with these cameras not being on par. Says that about a reason. Remember, like I said, logical versus emotional. These are smartphones first. If it's a smartphone, it's doing what a phone's meant to do. So logically, you should care about core quality first. You should care about battery life because it's a mobile device. And if it's not good on battery, what's the point? It's as good as a landline. You should then care about the performance, i.e. storage, RAM, and how it runs so that you know its reliability. You should then care about the display because you're looking at the display all the time to use the phone. The camera should just be a byproduct. But guess what? It's not, because people like the comfort.
Since we're talking about logic, let me introduce the logic of price. Okay? Price will kill a flagship phone faster than it will kill camera performance. Okay? If I'll use the OnePlus again. If the OnePlus 7T was $1,000 for what it was bringing to the table, people would slaughter that phone. But since the OnePlus 7T is like $500, people are open to that. Even the Pixel 3a, that thing is selling off the
price
shelves
can't be a factor
because of the price. Price can absolutely be a factor.
No, it's not. It's not. Do you know why it's not? We're talking about flagship. We're saying in a flagship phone, irrespective of OnePlus's flagship is $799 or $699, the Ultra is $499 or $1,400. It's a flagship. If the company's saying a flagship, right, does multiple cameras define it? If it's a flagship, you're playing in this arena, you've got to have multiple cameras to show that I'm in a flagship arena and I'm given the level of flexibility mixed with the simplicity of using a smartphone to give you the ability to capture the best memories that you can, because your most popular feature, being the smartphone camera, is also giving you more flexibility to capture the best memories. So it's not about price. It's about, if you're in that arena of flagship, you have to have multiple cameras to show that you're in that arena and you're playing hard, to make sure that you're competing, to make sure that you're coming across that we are serious about photography and videography in this arena. If you're not a flagship, stay in your single camera lane and just back out, because it's not going to make a difference.
Only real nerds are taking it to that severity of a degree.
No,
okay?
you say that.
Only people are, because
every ordinary customer will come and they will say that because it doesn't have multiple cameras, it must not be that good. I see it every day. I see it every single day. And if a normal customer, you're having to tell them that, hey, it does not matter, but they're like, no, I want it because I know the difference between 2 and 3. This one, it has 3. It's going to be better. That's why it's more expensive. That's why I want that one. That's why it's called Pro. When a customer tells you that.
Already, man.
It's called Pro marketing. That's all that it is. You even said it yourself before that all it is marketing. Marketing.
All right.
At the end of the day, price.
All right. So
They still got 46 seconds left.
Oh, my bad.
Already time. No, but if even if it's marketing, I'm going to touch this. Even if it's marketing, if the consumer understands the marketing, they buy into it, and they actually appreciate that at that price point, it needs to have it. That's what that matters. That means a flagship, that benchmark has been set, and it needs to have multiple cameras. Done, irrespective of the price or marketing. If the consumer understands it and they appreciate it and they want it, and you try to educate them, and they don't go for it and they still want it, that means you have to have it.
At the end of the day, the people going out who are consumers, the regular people who are buying these phones, they're buying them on installment plans. They are getting finally.
Yo, I
but
can't.
Mike over here throwing people off with false times and stuff.
My bad, man. My bad.
You get hit with the sound effects, bro.
My timing was off, man. My timing was off. All right, Jake, who you got?
Okay. First, I want to say I respect both of you guys for giving it your best shot. But Trent, please don't fall victim to what he's saying, because you was on point the whole time, and then he started talking about price. I thought he was talking about cameras on the flagship. I just have to say that. Trent got that one.
All right. Gigi, who you got?
This question was a whole train wreck because it went all over the place before it came back to camera.
Hello, man. Trent made the
Did I
most
just say
valuable
that?
point, though.
Don't give my answer, Jay. Either way. Not because I personally believe this. I'm going with argument, and I'll go with Ben.
Adrian, who you got?
Ben.
Come on.
Man. That's a shock.
I don't see what Ben was off in Never Land somewhere.
No, Trent was
He
the one
didn't
that
even
brought up
answer the
price.
question at all.
Trent brought up
Thank
price.
you.
But Trent
Thank
is
you.
the one that brought up price, which caused Ben to go off. Trent started that.
Yes.
Yeah, Trent may have started it, but Ben took that thing way over to the left field. So he never even answered the question as far as I was listening. So Trent knock a point off like when Tyson hit him with the boom in the third round. Knock that point off for him hitting him in the back of the head. But come on. Ben is a great articulate
Both were
guy.
all
He
over the
can
place.
he can start
They
talking
were
about my
all over the
glasses and
place.
be like, I say the black lens on there. It goes very long. He can say that and y'all be like, oh, Ben. Come on, man. Ben did not answer that question like word for real. Ben, all right, Ben. They gave you that. You stole that one, man. You stole that one.
Guess what? I know
stole
how to
that
still
one, son.
fight. Ask
You stole that
Viper.
one, son.
Ask Viper how I stole his heart and he upset everyone. And the aftermath that happened, I still fight.
Oh
All
my
right.
God.
So we're down to the last round, the fifth round. And the question for the fifth round, again, we're talking about smartphone cameras, and we're talking about things that come with smartphone cameras. So
Hold on,
Ben-
Jay. I'm gonna need you to mute your mic during the whole debate. You
It
can't
was
come
good.
in. Come on, It
Oh
wasn't
man,
even
it's
around
like they was
yet. You
going
can't
for
do
like
that.
45 minutes. My bad, G. My bad. I put the clothes in the dryer too already, so don't go there.
all right, folks. So we have the last question is anything past 10 times zoom really necessary on a smartphone? Ben, since you won, that means that you get to start off the last round. Are you going to say yes or no?
Anything past time terms really necessary? No, not necessary.
Okay, you got 2.5 minutes, my man. Go on ahead and work.
Again, it's a technical reason of these sensors are just not big enough. You're losing too much detail. 1, 2, the stability needs to be way better, because what these companies are not telling you, and Samsung is now chief corporate enemy of it. Have you noticed that every single times past times 10 into the times 30 and times 100, all the best results are done on a tripod? They're not telling you that, they're showing you, but they're not openly telling you for you to get the best results past this times, you need to be on a tripod. And even then, you're not really guaranteed unless you're shooting it in a specific situation. And what's that specific situation where it works best? It works best when it comes to text. Have you noticed that all the pictures that people have been taking of buildings, even if it's on a tripod, it looks fuzzy? Why? What it's doing, it's using computational processing to actually read the text, clean it up, sharpen it, and make it look clearer. So go back and watch the keynote. Every single times 30 or times 100 space zoom was one done on a tripod in ideal still situations where there was no wind, no shake, and it was all being done demonstrating that you can read text from far when you zoom in. Any other situation, they're not telling you that this is where it does not work. Space zoom, but they never demonstrated it zooming into the moon, zooming into the sky to show what space zoom is. So yes, anything past times 10 is absolutely irrelevant. I give them props. The new sensor sizes for these zoom lenses, 64 megapixels, 48 megapixels. The sensor sizes are massive, 1/1.76 inch sensors. They're massive. Up to times 10, they're clean, lots of resolution. When you zoom in, they're stable, they're fine. After that, seriously, that means you're telling every single normal person that they need to have a tripod with them to get this feature really in a situation. And it's only when they want to be reading text 100 times away, really and truly. That's just unrealistic. That's when you fall into useful, into gimmick. And that is a heavy gimmick past times 10. That's my argument.
All right. Before we let Trent go, shout out to Grant S for the super chat. Thank you, good sir. All right. Trent, you know your side of the argument. Are you ready?
I can't believe I'm about to say this bullshit.
Don't Trent, you're not supposed to doubt yourself before you start. But since you did it anyway, I'm gonna go on and let you go. Go ahead.
Is anything past 10 times zoom really necessary on a smartphone? I will have to go ahead and say yes. It is necessary. In order for us to get past this peak of smartphones, it's necessary. In order for flagships to continue to sell, it's necessary. It's the one feature, and I hate to use Samsung since we talked about Samsung all night long. It's the one feature that pretty much sets aside the Ultra aside from everything else as far as cameras and what's available. The zoom is what they are selling this phone on, and it's necessary. Pretty much over time, we've gotten more and more zoom out of cameras. People have wanted zoom on cameras. So it's necessary on a smartphone in order for them to evolve, in order for them to sell. And that's it.
You got a whole minute and a half. You sure before I minimize you?
I'm sure.
Okay. Well, y'all got 5 minutes to do your thing. So go.
So I'm going to come back at you because you weren't specific enough. Zoom is relevant, right? So it's not about the relevancy of Zoom not being there. It's all about past a certain point, is it relevant? Times 10. And it's not in its current state. They need to come better than that. One, even if they don't need to come better than that, communicate it, right? Be more transparent about where and when to use it to get the best results. Look at Google.
That's not up to the company to teach people how to use the phones.
It is. It's up to the company to educate the consumer when to use it. Look at Google astrophotography. They tell you straight to get the best astrophotography results. You got to place it still. You have to put it on a tripod. You have to be very still. It has to be in a situation where there's not, how can I put it, light pollution, like in the city.
But I'll say Zoom is really necessary because you have people who are disabled and they can't really get close up on stuff. And it's a benefit to have that 30 times zoom. Will it be the clearest picture on earth? No, but some pictures, as long as you still capture them, are still worth it to a lot of people.
But if you're not telling the user the best scenario to get the best results, right? What's the relevance? At the end of the day, they're going to use it 3 times and then have bad results and never use it. And guess what they'll say? The feature's there, but at the end of the day, I'm not getting the best results, so I don't see the point of it. When am I going to use it?
But you need to have it in the phone so it gets better, and so the companies can actually study the data, and they can go into your phone and take the pictures like they do with your data and everything else, and say, okay, these are the problems that we are having with this feature. This is what's going on. So this is how we're going to improve this. This is how we're going to make Zoom better. We are basically giving ourselves another way to sell you on another phone and a better feature. So for the company, it's absolutely needed in the phones.
It's saying that it's a negative detriment if the quality and the final results look bad, because what's going to happen is they're going to communicate that the feature is just a gimmick. You don't want the feature to be communicated as a gimmick. If it's in a perfect scenario, say that it's in this scenario that you're going to get the best results. Put it through the paces. You need a tripod. You need to be in the scenario, and then you see the best results.
But even if it's a gimmick, they are the first ones to do it, and they can improve upon it. You can come out as a company and say that we are the only ones that have this feature, even if the feature does not provide the results that you desire. We still have a feature that no one else has.
That's no having a feature for the sake of having a feature. If the end result is poor, it's a negative impact on the company's reputation, i.e., gimmick city.
At first, but when they come out with it first, we sit there and we celebrate them and we laud them
It's not
for
always
it.
best.
And we even celebrate them more when they come out and fix it and make it better than it was before, instead of a company not even having it at all.
First, it's not always best. If you're first and you do it crap over and over again, you get roasted over and over again. So I disagree.
That's if you do it. That's if you do it over and over again. I'm leaning towards the companies that get better every single year. Just like you said before, we're not at peak cameras, and they get better, and they're going to work on this and they're working on that. And all this marketing is just there, and they could really do more with it.
Don't communicate how to get the best results and yield the best results. You will be known as the company that always does gimmick features for the sake of, for stage presentations, but the end result means it's a redundant result that the end consumer is paying for, and it's not getting any results, let alone the best results from, and they're there wondering, why have I got these features when I don't even know how to use it, or when I use it, it just comes out rubbish all the time? Am I doing something right or wrong?
When they don't do anything different,
we don't
and they don't have the features. They complain every single year. If you come out with a phone this year that has the exact same features as last year, everybody's like, "What's the point of buying it? It has the same stuff as last year."
They hired 2 YouTubers to stand by a bridge and say, "We're YouTubers," on a tripod and zoomed in. All it becomes then is a stage demonstration and a stage gimmick. Nothing useful to the end consumer.
We could talk about 20 times Zoom, 30 times Zoom. We don't have to go to 100. 30 times Zoom could be pretty awesome. You can catch somebody cheating with 30 times Zoom.
We said past 10 times. Did they tell the consumer that you need to have a tripod? No, they didn't communicate it. So then it becomes the end user's assumption that I can get this feature and the results handheld. Hell no.
Okay, that's it.
This is heat.
So now I was listening. I'm going to address this real quick. I was listening. And I missed it, but some people in the chat said that Ben agreed with Trent in the beginning of the 5-minute round. Now, I didn't hear it personally.
If you didn't hear it, it didn't happen.
But I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. If Ben had agreed with him, it would have been an automatic knockout. So, but the judges, I don't think anybody else did. I think it was just a few people in the chat that said it. And also, I'm going to address a couple of things here in the chat because first and foremost, shout out to C. Butler, Dwayne Mims, LB again. I think I saw LB had one up there earlier. And technically speaking, for the super chats, we appreciate it very much. So some people feel like this question was one-sided. The purpose of a Saturday Night Tech Fight is how good you can argue the point. It's not about if it's a one-sided question. It's not about if it's set up for one person to win and one person to fail. If you know your stuff and you can argue a point, you can work your way out of it. With that being said, Gigi, who wins the last round? The suspense.
Because it was a rough round for me. Like I kind of felt like Trent started pulling back his own way into the fight. You know, I'm not supposed to explain, am I?
Go ahead, explain.
I'm only explaining this one because I think it's his lack of experience of using phones with more than 10 times Zoom on it. That's all I think it is. But that's nothing personal to him. I'm just saying, like, I like phones with more than 10 times Zoom on them. But I would side with Ben's argument.
So that is one for Ben. Mr. J, who you got?
We're supposed to give our short answers now, and then we get to elaborate later, right?
Yes, after this round.
Ben.
Okay. Adrian, who you got?
I'm going with Trent on this one.
Okay. Well, there wasn't a knockout at the end, but that's the end of the fight. Man, those 5 rounds went by real quick. It seemed like we still got on the clock.
That didn't go quick for nothing. I don't know. Maybe that was quick for you. That didn't go quick for nothing.
But well, Ben.
So before I forget, can I just say why I went with Trent for that round?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I went with Trent with that round. I was gonna go Ben, but Trent, you should have just kept going hard. It sounded like you started to doubt yourself, but you said one key thing that stood out to me when you said that some people might need more than a 10 times zoom just to see things, and that it's a benefit for them. If you would have stayed with that and then just hit home with that, you probably could have swayed some more votes.
Yeah,
But it was
I
like,
think he kind of gave up. He kind of tapped out.
gave up.
He could have won it because 10 times zooms is not very far.
Right.
50
Look,
times
that-
zooms looks great on Huawei devices.
Yeah.
mind you.
Look,
mean,
I
50
was
times super
drowning, and I just hit a Hail Mary of an idea,
clear.
and I didn't know how to follow
But
it
it
up.
was the right idea, and you
Yeah.
didn't stick with it.
You had that one.
30 and 50 look great on
Yeah,
Huawei
they look
devices.
fantastic. Yeah.
Because that's where I was like, well, why don't we just talk about just 100? But I didn't, because I've never had the 50 or the 100 or whatever.
100 looks horrible. You had
And
that.
then I'm also looking at the wording of the question. I'm like, motherfucker, man.
Watch your language. We would like this.
I'm
to
sorry. I'm sorry. Mother, father.
Beginning.
That one word necessary. I was just like, man, Ben ain't gonna take this and run with it.
No, you had that though, for real. I mean, nothing against Ben, but I think you had the flow going, but you focused on the number 10, I guess, because 30 times zoom, 50 times zoom is boss. That 100 times zoom is a straight up gimmick. It's crap.
Yeah.
It's just like Ben was saying, the marketing for that is fantastic. So everybody thinks it's so great, but that nobody's going to use 100 times zoom. It's too blurry. And Samsung did that at their event. That thing looked horrible, but they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." I'm like, "Are they looking at the same thing I'm looking at? That looks horrible."
And I was
50
kind of
with-
shocked that Ben took that side of the argument too, because he's used
Yeah.
devices that have more than 10.
Yeah.
But I was also thinking like,
Kool-Aid smile.
no, here's the other thing I was thinking, because when you say necessary and you say smartphone, it's not specifying flagship.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
that's
specifying mid-range. So I couldn't give that to him. It was like so much stuff I wanted to say, but I'm like, he ain't gonna take that shit and run. Take that stuff and run with it. Take that stuff and run with it.
Well, so Ben, you technically have already won. You are undefeated on the Saturday Night Tech Fights. You have defeated Scott Peachy of Technically Speaking, and now you have defeated the mighty Thanos, aka Tech Rant,
Jeez.
of 10-7. But because it's still pretty early, if the judges are okay with it, I'm just curious if you guys want to just answer the last two questions I had for the knockout, and just, an extra question just in case. It's up to y'all. I know everybody got time, but if y'all are interested, I got two more questions.
I would
Well, what
love to
happens if Trent gets both of them?
Yeah.
even the winner?
Yeah.
I would love to
See,
say
he
yes.
want to go because he's scared.
Okay,
No. It's like 3:15. Remember, right?
Mhm.
They want to
So-
eat his donuts.
I got church in the AM. That's wrong. Take that sound effect back. That's wrong. That's all kinds of wrong. That's in the middle of my explanations. I'm seriously, I'm booking a ticket and I'm coming there. How about that?
Am I supposed to be scared?
Yeah, I think.
Look. This guy said he got jabbed in the fifth round. All right. Well, Ben, if you I know it is late over there, so I'll throw the two questions up here real quick just so you guys can see. So the other
Can we go through the judges' reasons? Four
No,
reasons
if you're
from
not
top
gonna
to bottom?
answer the other questions, you talking about you gotta go.
I can.
Make-
No.
You gonna
Get
go,
No,
you gonna go.
no, come on.
Get
That's not.
'em.
Listen, we could do it for funsies. Cool, let's go.
all right, Ben,
Let's go. I'm on the smoke. I want the smoke. Let's go.
all right, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this a little different. Since we're just gonna see, we're doing this one to see Trent. If you win this one, if you win these next two questions, I don't know. I might have to go on and give it to Trent, but that's up to the judges to decide. With that being said, I'm just gonna put 5 minutes up here. We ain't gonna do a whole separate round. We're gonna do 5 minutes. Y'all see the question? Trent, what's your side of it? Do more megapixels define a quality camera in a smartphone? Forgot to put that in there.
I hate this question. I really do. I would say no.
All right. So Ben, that means you have to say yes. Y'all got 5 minutes to go.
So, do more megapixels define a quality camera? I would say no. I would say the size of the megapixels on the sensor and how the camera reads it has more of an effect and will define it more. We've all seen where, cameras come out and they boast some ridiculous number of 50 megapixels, right? So we got, let's say I think it was one of the Canon 5D SR or whatever had like 50 megapixels and it recorded at 1080p. While you had the Sony A7S II, which came in at 12 megapixels, and it was like the low light beast. So that camera, that Sony A7 II, hung with the Canon camera, and the Sony was actually cheaper than that camera. Oh my God, that is so hard to say. Canon camera. So I would absolutely say that more megapixels definitely do not define camera quality.
Well, I'll say, why not do both? When the age of pixel binning, oversampling, right? These camera sensors have gotten so much bigger that you can do the trick of both. Case in point, these bigger sensors with high resolution help to market these products as sharp and ultra sharp, right? You have the ability to market as an ultra sharp camera in the right scenarios, perfect lighting, where you have many pixels, even if the pixels are smaller, but because you've got that fine granular detail of millions of pixels in one space on a bigger sensor, you get the best of both worlds. And I'm going to use that for an example. If you're going to be using a full frame professional mirrorless camera, right? The Sony RX, the Sony A7R Mark IV is the first full frame camera to have 61 megapixels. It's competing with medium format sensors, right? Use another example, smartphones. If you look at smartphones, the Ultra, it has the ability to market itself as a very high resolution 108 megapixel camera, but through the trick of pixel binning on a hardware level and software processing and hardware processing, it can still scale down and have the same effectiveness of bigger pixels with less megapixels, saves you storage, has a cleaner image, and also has the ability to effectively make the pixel sizes much bigger. You can do both. What it does do is it gives you the ability to market it as a high resolution, high sharpness camera in the right scenarios. But when you want to scale it down to where you're used to, you're able to shoot it at those resolutions. So you can have both. You can easily have both. You can have high resolution with the benefit of having a higher sensor, and even professional camera sensor companies such as Sony have realized, and they are tapping into that in their pro level high resolution cameras, where they've added 50% more megapixels, up from 42 to 61. So why not when it comes to smartphones? If it's happening when it comes to things like medium format and even full frame, even Canon with their Canon 90D and their M6 Mark II moved their megapixel count on an APS-C sensor
2 hours later.
from
All right. Oh man.
damn, that these sound effects are
Hilarious.
Eric, I see Eric is in the chat. Eric, are you ready? I don't know if Eric is at home tonight, because if he is, we finna have this funeral. If he's not, then it's a wrap. It's a wrap if he's not. But Trent, man, I'm not a judge, but Trent, you seem tired, brother.
Bye-bye.
TJ done wore him out.
Lay me on TJ, light skin warrior.
Honestly, I looked at this question now, just like, whatever.
Really thought you was gonna say the opposite. Really did.
You can argue this question either way and still be wrong.
All right.
No, it's not about giving the wrong answer. It's about how you present it to him, because I thought you were gonna say the opposite. I was like, okay, he got this one in the bag, but you said, oh, okay, so good.
Okay, so Eric said he's out with Oracle. All right, so let's go ahead.
I'm prepared just in case he couldn't come. Trent, this is for you.
I will remember you.
Unreal, Trent.
Don't do my guy like that, please.
Oh,
He dead and gone.
okay. Let's run through this real quick because I can't do this no more.
LB
First-
said he prepared the plot next to himself just for you, Trent.
Smartphone camera.
Man, LB can't say nothing, man.
Is a smartphone camera enough for
LB.
a photographer? So, guys, everybody, we'll start with Adrian. Why did you pick who you picked on this one?
I don't even remember who I picked. They done talked for so long. I don't remember what happened.
They didn't talk for so long. Old chatterbox over there.
I picked Ben because Trent got knocked out on it. Yeah, Trent got knocked out.
Ooh, bad.
Ben said he
Real bad.
It was so bad.
Ben said he finna eat this victory. Look at him. All right. So I think Gigi, you want to put out your why you chose Ben?
Man, Ben was using Trent stuff against him. His own arguments. It was bad.
Mhm.
Hey, I'll say this: ain't no way to really argue that.
Hey, you
It ain't no way to argue it. Is a smartphone camera enough for an amateur photographer? Please let someone else argue that.
Oh yeah, like no doubt for the chat, for everybody who said they can argue it better. Hey, it's a battle royale in a couple weeks. You can come on and try it. But the reason I worded it the way I did was because an amateur could be, whoever, somebody who bought the phone and wanted to start taking pictures. So it's all about your interpretation of the question. If and I'm not talking to you in particular, Trent, but if you read the question and interpret the question as a black and white, then you might get a black and white response from the judges. I'm just saying. So I think that one was pretty clear. Have we reached peak camera in smartphones? Does anybody want to talk about why they picked who they picked on this one?
Let me find them notes here.
Oh, I think I picked Trent on this one, and I just picked him because I didn't want him to get knocked out again because I wanted to pick the third question because the third question was my question. So I was like, he got to make it to the third round.
Oh, man.
Got to make it to the third round.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben had better examples. And he knocked it out the park.
Ben, the chat say you wake up and read Google News.
Yeah.
Yo, I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or a backhanded compliment.
I don't know, man.
Backhanded compliment.
No, mate.
Once again, peak camera. How do you argue that?
I think this is why Ben wanted to flip a coin on the first question because he didn't want it to be like, hey, I got the easier question.
There's always an argument.
Yeah, but I don't. The thing is, I don't think they're easier questions. I don't think they.
Well, you didn't want to be the first to pick, is what I'm saying.
No, it's I thought it's not even about being first to pick. I think peak smartphone for camera, potentially we have reached it, but I wanted to argue it in a way where, I didn't think we have, because I'm more of a camera nerd, and I'm thinking too much gets lost in marketing translation where you have to market certain things, but if you just stop marketing and actually go hard at the relevant things, you can actually give the quality to people. But smartphone manufacturers are scared that they won't know how to market it.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Why? I hate that one. Damn you.
Yeah, they definitely you did a good job on that. I don't think that the cameras are done though. I think we're just getting started, man. You really can't say that they've peaked out as far as it being hard to argue. It's just not. It's just presentation, really. You just have to go in and think. Kind of along, Mike said, it's like you I'm saying it's like you just kind of threw in the towel before the question came because you saw what he was saying. You probably felt like, gosh, I got to argue the other side. But that's
I had to come up with some BS. That's what it was.
No. Because he made some strong points, but you made some good points too. But it just seems like if you focus on when you're debating somebody, like when I'm a wreck technically T on here in front of everybody, I don't care what he's talking about. I don't care what T is talking about. I'm looking at the question. And I think in this situation, based on the other things, I've seen you wreck some people before. But on this now, it's just kind of like you focus more on what he was saying or the fact that he got to it first or, You just kind of was like, man, shoot. But it starts in the
Because
mindset.
I agreed with him and I could not say anything without agreeing with him. I had to BS my way through that question because I agreed with everything he said. But I will love to.
But still, I mean, he made some strong points though. I mean, he makes it's the question where it said, "Have we reached the peak for cameras and the phones?" We totally haven't. I mean, but there's always a comeback in some kind of argument. That's all I'm saying. I don't think anybody gave a quote unquote like wrong answer because it's all about the way you perceive and where you approach that question. But if you approach it with the mannerism of my wife calling right in the middle of this live stream, you just got to answer the phone and mute yourself out.
Cool. Next question. Oh yeah, it's the selfie one. Right?
Oh, the train wreck. Is that the one? No, it's not.
The selfie camera is the next one.
It's the one before that one.
No. Selfie camera was it's I believe
Trent
multiple cameras on the flagship.
Trent bodied me here. I fully agreed with everything. And when he said yes, I was like, oh no.
I know, we saw it all on your face.
But that's what happens though. That's what happens. That's the hard part about this.
Well, it's the hard part about it, but you do it with such charisma. You've done it multiple times now, so
Yeah,
Today you just sucked, Trent. You sucked.
Nah, with that one, the selfie one, I knew I was going to lose, but I had to lose like the
With
300
dignity.
warriors. The 300 warriors just getting a kill. It's like, we're going to get killed, but we might as well just get killed in style. So I tried to come with.
I think this is the one that threw everybody off. This is the one where seemed like
That's actually an easy one. That's super easy, man. All you gotta do is say pixel. Game over. That's it.
look
Wrap.
when
He never mentioned the pixel at
Trent-
all, did he?
But no,
He mentioned the XR.
I didn't.
When I saw Jay face, I was like, "That's it."
Here's. Let me answer Jay.
Pixel, that's it.
The reason why I didn't say Pixel is because Ben would have hit a slam dunk and said, "Well, the Pixel 4 XL has multiple cameras now," and
No, but it wouldn't have been a slam dunk because the
I've been
Pixel
done.
3 has a single camera. It crushed the market. The Pixel 3a has a single camera. Pixel 3a XL has a single.
But he
Those
would have came.
cameras
He
are
would have came
solid.
with the current flagship, with it, which is the Pixel 4,
and
and it has multiple
whatever.
cameras.
So what? You stick to your guns.
That was alluding to the argument that he was already building. I would have little
Man,
sweet
what the
myself
heck,
with
Trent? Now what the heck, man? What happened to the Trent I saw like 6 months ago? You was up in here wrecking fools up in here, man. I gotta put this wig on again or what? Come on,
Yeah,
man.
this Trent's scary.
You was wrecking people on these things, and all of a sudden, it's just like you just tired of doing it. Come on, B.
Do you guys remember the last scene in Endgame when Iron Man took it and just snapped it, and the Thanos just sat down and crumbled? That's what just happened right now.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy.
Hi. Well,
I guess.
the last one was: is anything past 10 times zoom really necessary on the smartphone?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that.
Yes.
We talked about that one already. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
all right. Well, folks, that's the end of it. We normally would have a funeral at the end of it. Truth to be told, hosted by Eric, the tech preacher from Easy Computer Solutions, but he's currently out with his wife. So, Adrian, play that music one more time.
I will remember you.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So, with that being said, I want to thank the judges, Adrian L, Gadget
Got
Guy,
judges tonight.
Mr. J. Will. I
Yes,
want
sir.
to thank each of you for being a judge tonight. Yeah, guys, no burial tonight. Yeah, we ain't got to sit up. Trent just gonna float on up.
Trent ain't have no insurance. He ain't getting big.
Oh my god.
And
You getting cremated?
Yeah, I was
Gonna
gonna
push it
say
aside or
we're gonna go the cheap route.
Ben, man, Ben continues to stay up in the future and just
Awesome.
wreck shop, man. I don't know. It's just, Scott said he won his rematch. I don't know if somebody got.
Maybe
Look, all
Ben
I can
might
say
be
is,
ready for Prosser now.
I'll be ready for process from get go.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Get go.
Let's get
all
the
I can
timestamp
say
for that.
is-
We're gonna have to put that on Twitter.
Listen, I'm ready for it, man. Whoever wants to smoke, I'm undefeated. So that's it. Simple.
Don't gas yourself up too much, young blood. Hey, I might be old enough to be your pops, but I'll put them things on you because T ain't ready yet.
Bro,
Actually,
listen,
J-Will,
ask Tech King Mike.
I ain't got to ask that King Mike
I'm,
nothing.
listen,
You know you messing with
I'm
me.
first to win
You
Battle
from
Royale.
Scotland,
No
but
one
I'm
can
from
ever
Jersey.
take that. I'm
I'm standing in the
undefeated.
East Coast.
I'm
We bring
ready.
the thunder.
Stop the
You
fight.
want to talk
Stop
over
the fight.
somebody? I could talk over
Set
you,
up
B.
the fight, bro. Set up the fight. Stop the fight.
Boy, you better be mad. I got some Kung Pao chicken coming because I ain't.
Bro, do you know what the saying goes? It's all
What is
talk
that?
until the fight happens and you get bodied, man.
You feeling yourself
Don't get
a little
bodied.
too much.
Don't find yourself getting
You
bodied.
in this game, son. I love tech, but not the lover of tech. I'll put
Bro.
some things on you, son. I'm telling
Bro,
you. Better ask somebody.
It's all
But,
talk until you
hey,
get in the
I
ring
got love
and you
for the
realize you're
critter.
about
I
to
knew
get
he out in
bodied.
the chat, but I didn't
Bro.
put work in for free. You better watch out.
Look, I'm new school, but I can give you old school. It's all good until you get in the ring and you get bodied.
You playing, if you think Snoop Dogg is old school, you better pull up some Al Green or something. Let's stay together is what you're gonna be singing when I get done with
3
you.
to the 4. Come on.
That's
Listen,
old
set up the
school.
fight. That's what I'm saying, man. It's all talk until you get in the ring and you get bodied. I've been doing this
Mike,
undefeated.
You sure you want to do this? You undefeated, right?
No. I'm undefeated for a reason. So that's what I'm saying.
Let me
It's all
tell
talk
you
until you
how
get in the
much
ring and
game
you
I
get
got. Check
bodied.
this out. Let me tell you how much game I got. Check this out.
Go on.
You undefeated, that's fine. You got 2-0.
Mhm.
I'm undefeated because I haven't found anybody worthy enough to fight. The
No.
only person
Let me correct you. Let me correct you.
hold on. The only
3-0.
person was technically
3-0.
T. So
Three.
when you get some real challenges under your belt, then I'll go ahead and bring it out. How about
3-0.
that?
3-0. First to win Battle Royale ever. No one could ever take that. Yeah. Body tech.
Well, actually, you won that on a technicality.
Either way,
There it
the win's
is.
a win.
There it is.
What is it called?
There
A
it
boxing TKO. So technicality, it still counts TKO. So it's a win. It's still a W. I caught the W. I got the voucher to prove it.
I'm feeling you, young blood. I love your style, but I'm telling you, you're not ready yet, B. You're not
Bro.
ready. You think you Idris Elba, but I'm gonna have you looking like Wilder when I get done with you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, son. You're not ready yet. Take this little win from Trenton. Sit down somewhere, and I'm gonna eat my Kung Pao chicken. I'm trying to tell you. I'm warning you. I'm warning you, son. I read Google too, okay? You
Big
got to go to
bro.
work. I'm retired, B. I ain't retired for no reason.
Bro,
Huh?
I'm gonna make sure you're in a retiree home after.
Listen,
That's what
About
I'm
30
saying.
minutes ago, didn't Ben say
This
he
nigga
had
me
to
is
go?
Mayweather.
No,
The
no,
thing is,
I'm-
remember what happened? You probably wasn't born yet, but there was this one time on Tech King Mike's show when somebody tried me indirectly and asked him what happened to him. B.
But that's what I'm saying.
With another route.
I'm giving it to you directly. I'm saying
With
it's
another
all,
route. You better
it's
go back
all-
and rewatch that stream, son.
it's all good until you're in the ring fighting and you catch a
Listen,
body.
are you
That's
not
it. That's
listening?
all I'm saying.
Are you
You can
not
talk.
I'm
You're
just
not ready yet, B.
Mike,
I'm just saying.
Not ready yet.
you're the Dunkin'
I
of
mean, no
tech.
disrespect to Trent and the
I
other
think
guy
we,
you battle, but
Mike, I think we know the next fight. Line them up.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're the Dunkin' of tech. You're the
no
promoter.
disrespect
Set
to
the
Trent,
fight.
but that was like fighting the old Mike Tyson.
Listen,
You understand what I'm saying?
bring Don King, bring out the contract, set up the fight. That's what you need
I
to
came
do.
back like, Jay, how you
Get
gonna
the
play like that?
promotion.
Hey, look, dog, you was looking like the old Mike Tyson tonight. All right, this is what it
Listen.
is.
Listen,
Alright?
it's all
was
all
Iron
good.
Mike
It's
6
all
months
good
ago.
until you get in the ring and you catch a body when the
Oh,
fight happens. That's all I'm saying, man. I'm
You're
undefeated.
not
Don't
catching
worry.
no bodies over
So
here.
it sounds like our next fight is gonna
You're
be.
not catching no bodies. It's not
And the
happening.
love of
B.
tech.
You gotta do it for the
It's not
fans.
happening,
We have to
son.
do it for the fans. We have to do
I
it
guess
for the
you gotta
fans.
get in line though. You gotta get in
Listen,
line
no.
because
No.
hey,
3-0.
listen, you gotta get in
Two
line. You
bouts.
can't skip over my man technically T.
Two bouts.
Get in line. He
Emperor
got the most wins right now.
Yeah, I got the most
Wins
wins.
don't mean nothing. That don't mean. Yeah, I mean you like Wilder.
The
You ain't
numbers
fought
don't lie.
nobody.
The
You
numbers
like
don't
Wilder.
lie.
You ain't fought nobody.
The numbers don't
You
lie.
ain't fought nobody.
It's all good. It's all talk
Listen,
until you
no,
get in the
listen.
ring and you catch a body.
Hey,
That's all
that
I'm
sounds
saying.
great.
Don't get caught.
That sounds
Don't catch
great.
a body.
That
Don't
sounds
catch a body.
great.
Big bro, all respect, but don't catch a body. I promise you. Because if you
Who
do,
in the world do you think is gonna catch a body?
the fans don't forget when your body gets caught.
I tell
That's
you
what
what,
I'm telling you. So
if-
you
if-
gotta be ready for the smoke.
the,
You gotta be ready for it.
the fans ain't gonna forget.
There's not gonna be any firefighters that will come and extinguish the smoke. when
I'll
it
say it
comes.
like
I promise
this.
you.
I would probably.
I
I'm gonna
promise
say this
you.
right here, and then I'm gonna
I-
drop the mic and walk
I
off.
promise
Because
you.
if we
There is
battle,
not gonna be no emergency services.
okay. But check this out though.
Promise
If
you.
we battle,
It's all gonna be good
If
until
we
you
get-
get in the ring. You
let me put it to you.
That's it.
If I let you battle me, I'm doing you a favor.
No. It's
I
no,
take
no, no.
that
It's
for
more
what
like
it is.
you battling me. Remember, I've
If
got
I
3
battle
wins.
you, I'm doing you a favor.
Right?
I'm doing you a favor.
You got to remember, I'm
What's that?
undefeated. I'm in the future over the pond. I nap and I
man.
wake up and
Who
I
did you
still
fight?
beat.
Mike, you might have to schedule for this one like 5
Who did you
o'clock in
fight?
the afternoon.
Who did you
It's
fight?
gonna
Walker?
run to about 10,
Listen.
11.
We going to
Listen.
midnight. Who did you fight? I want to know who you fought. I want to know who Wilder fought. That's what I want.
Listen.
Hey,
I'm-
Trent, no
all-
disrespect,
all I
but
say-
10
all I
hours
say-
later.
Look.
Talk-
Somebody play it. Somebody
Talk
play
can
it.
sound valuable, but it's cheap. When you get in the ring, it's all well and good when you talk until you catch a body. Don't be a body that gets caught. That's all I'm saying.
that all sounds.
Hit it, Adrian, hit it.
I'm Mayweather though.
1 hour later.
Love this. This
Kind of like what it looked like with me, man.
we have to do it for the
Same thing, I
fans.
mean,
We have to do it for the fans. Love this.
I'm gonna be doing you a huge service by allowing you to battle me.
Oh,
Nah,
wow.
you know, it'll just be fun showing you that old school can rock old school with new school. I'll give you both. Don't worry, it's for you. I'll do it for you.
Stop it now because I'm gonna. We're
I
gonna go
don't
ahead
even
and
understand that, B.
If y'all want to see more of this, come back for the next fight.
My man.
I'm not ready,
I want
folks.
to see more of this.
You're not ready. A lover of tech, I'm telling you, son, you ain't the only one to read Google.
Oh,
You ain't the only one to read Google. And if you took that as a compliment when they were saying that in the chat, you should have.
Listen, I'm just saying, if your body gets caught, people only remember. That's it.
Hey, I may be twice your age, but I'm still going to the gym, young blood. Don't get it twisted. You may run away from me, but I'll catch up to you. I'll find a way to get you.
Don King, set it up, man. Draw the contract, set up the date, the time, the promo, everything.
First, you need to
everything.
get past this other person they talking about. You ain't worthy. I hate to say it so directly, but you ain't worthy yet. You ain't worthy.
I'm as worthy as Thor picking up Mjolnir
ain't
the
ready.
hammer. That's it.
I
I'm
don't-
gonna bring the hammer down
say it
like
like
Thor
this.
picking it up.
Let
So
me
that's
say
what
this,
I'm gonna tell
First
you.
of all, I don't even know, no disrespect to the other person, but I don't even know who he is. And I know Trent. I don't even know who this other guys you beat. So, but again, no disrespect. I don't even know who he is. So again, I say, who did you fight? And then Trent, you fought the old Mike Tyson, B. Come on, son. Go battle somebody else first. You're not ready.
No. We like I said, Don King. Draw the contracts, set up the date. I'll meet the time.
When you
You
try
ain't go to
your
the top, you gotta
best,
crawl
but you
before you
don't
walk.
succeed.
You gotta crawl before you walk.
When you get what you want, but not what you need.
Theme music, B.
When
Y'all
you
have a good night.
Theme music.
Sorry for coming out. Trent, Tech Rat.
Trent, I love you like a play cousin.
I will have the description updated.
Yeah, man.
For the chat will be updated tomorrow with links to everybody's channel and Twitter. Make sure you follow, subscribe to everybody on.
Enjoyed, man. Enjoyed. Nice one.
Oh, boy. Y'all have a good night, man. We out.
Was that live?
Yes, I'm live. Still live.